What's up guys, this is Ultimate Device Vids, and today we're going to be doing a battery drain test between the iPhone 14, the iPhone 13, and the iPhone 12, so Apple's latest 3 generations of standard phone offerings. And a few things I want to mention before we get started: True Tone, Night Shift, and Auto Brightness are disabled on all 3 of these devices, and something that's always important to remember is that battery performance is entirely dependent on the condition of the battery in your device. And as you can see, for all of these devices, the battery health is showing very high. They're also all running their latest versions of iOS 16 respectively at the time that I'm recording this video. I set the brightness on all 3 of these devices as close to the same as I could get using a lux meter for reference, and the volume is turned all the way down on all of them. And alright, with all 3 devices charged all the way up to 100%, we're going to go ahead and turn off the power strip that they're connected to, and we'll remove the power cables. And we're going to kick things off with 1 hour of YouTube video streaming. We're going to stream the very same video on all 3 of these devices full screen at 1080p quality for an hour. And checking in after that, as you can see, all 3 devices more or less are performing the same so far. Next, we're going to head on over to Safari for 1 hour of web browsing. For the first 30 minutes, we're going to be loading new web pages and scrolling through web pages on apple.com, and for the second 30 minutes, we're going to be doing that on theverge.com. And I just wanted to take a moment and mention that there's always a variety of varying factors that contribute to how your battery life is going to be. Of course, things like what you do on your device, the condition of the battery in your device, the brightness of your screen, any background processes that are running, cell signal strength, and so many more things all play a very big role on how your battery life will be. And of course, I'm controlling as many of these variables as I can to get the most accurate results. All these devices are connected to the very same Wi-Fi network. As I said earlier, the brightness is set as close to the same as I could get on all these devices. Also, there's no SIM cards or cellular plans attached to any of these devices to create a level playing field in regards to cell signal strength drainage. So you should definitely keep in mind that in the real world, of course, factors will vary all over the place. But even in a hyper-controlled test environment like this, there's always going to be random variables that throw each device off a little bit. So as I often say, rather than interpreting videos like this as hyper-detailed percent point by percent point analysis of battery performance, you should just interpret videos like this as gauging overall battery performance between devices in comparison to one another in a hyper-controlled test environment. And checking in after a full hour of web browsing, yet again, very similar performance between these 3 devices. They're all still within 4% of each other. So with all devices holding up great, we're going to move on to 1 hour of Instagram. So we're just going to be scrolling through posts on Instagram for an hour. So as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, the iPhone 14 in comparison to the iPhone 13 is a very minor upgrade inside and out, with really just a few key differences. And in terms of anything that would actually impact battery life, the iPhone 14 did get a slightly upgraded battery capacity. It's now at 3,279 milliamp hours in comparison to last year's iPhone 13 having 3,227 milliamp hours. So not a huge upgrade there, but it is something. And both the iPhone 13 and iPhone 14 feature the A15 Bionic chip. However, the A15 Bionic chip in the iPhone 14 now has a 5-core GPU in comparison to the iPhone 13 having a 4-core GPU. But other than those few things, not really a whole lot that separates the iPhone 13 from the iPhone 14, especially anything that, relates to battery life. But with the iPhone 13 being well known for having a great battery life, if the iPhone 14 improves on that a little bit, or even if it just stays the same, I'd be satisfied with that at the end of the day. And checking in after a full hour of Instagram, yet again, all within the same range of each other, give or take a few percentage points. The iPhone 13 and iPhone 14 being very neck and neck, the iPhone 12 being a little bit more noticeably behind. But with all 3 devices holding up great, we're going to move on to 1 hour of scrolling through TikTok posts. And checking in after that, as you can see, overall the same trends that we've been observing are continuing. So next we're going to move on to 1 hour of playing Minecraft. And just to let you guys know, the render distance setting for Minecraft is set to the exact same on all 3 devices, being 7 chunks. But alright, let's just go ahead and get into the game here, and we're going to play for an hour. And checking in after a full hour of playing Minecraft, as you can see, a little bit more noticeable difference starts to show at this point, with at this point each newer device being 5% points above the previous older device. Next up, we're going to head on over to PUBG for 1 hour of playing the game. And also, just to let you guys know, for PUBG as well, the graphics settings are set to the exact same on all 3 devices. So we're just going to get into a match here and play for an hour. And checking in after an hour of playing PUBG, the 14 is at 43%, the 13 is at 34%, and the 12 is at 28%. So at this point, pretty steady progression down the line of generations. But all in all, I'd say all 3 devices are holding up very good considering all the stuff that we just put them through. So with the first round of the battery test complete, we're going to head back to YouTube for our second scheduled hour of YouTube video streaming. Once again, the exact same video, 1080p quality, full screen for another hour. And checking in after that, the 14 is at 35%, the 13 is at 24%, and the 12 is at 18%. So next, we're going to head back to Safari for our second hour of web browsing. And just like last time, for the first 30 minutes, we're going to be loading new web pages and scrolling through web pages on apple.com. And for the second 30 minutes, we're going to be doing that on theverge.com. And checking in after that, as you can see at this point, the iPhone 12 is beneath the 10% mark, sitting at 6% currently. Meanwhile, the 13 is at 15% and the 14 is at 27%. So we'll head back to Instagram for our second scheduled hour of scrolling through posts. And midway through the second hour of scrolling through Instagram posts, I noticed that the display brightness on the iPhone 12 automatically lowered a little bit. And this is something that sometimes occurs when iPhones are at 1%. It's an automatic feature to save battery life. And just a few seconds later, midway through when I was trying to readjust the brightness back up to the same level as the other devices, the iPhone 12 died at 8 hours and 46 minutes into the test. And alright, with the iPhone 13 and iPhone 14 being the only two devices left standing, we're going to close out the remainder of this hour of Instagram. And that leaves the 13 with 7% and the 14 with 19%. So next, we're going to head back to TikTok for our second scheduled hour of scrolling through posts. And 9 hours and 52 minutes into the test, the iPhone 13 dies. And with the iPhone 14 being the last device standing, we'll close out the remainder of this hour of TikTok. And that leaves the iPhone 14 with 11%. So we're going to head back to Minecraft for our second scheduled hour of playing the game. And at 10 hours and 50 minutes into the test, the iPhone 14 dies. And guys, here are the final results. At the end of the day, as long as you're a relatively normal user of your phone, you really can't go wrong with any of these three devices in terms of battery life, as long as the battery health of the battery in your device is relatively decent. Of course, at the end of the day, it really just depends on how much battery life you need, but 9 times out of 10, for most people, you won't have an issue with battery life using any of these three phones. And also, just to reiterate what I said earlier, there's always going to be minor variables that throw each device off a little bit in these tests. I mean, I've had the iPhone 13 in previous videos that I've done with this exact same test do just as good as the iPhone 14 did in this video, but for whatever reason today, it didn't do quite as good. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about how you shouldn't be analyzing these tests percent point by percent point, as the results of tests like this, as I've experienced firsthand from doing them many times, definitely vary even on the very same device doing the exact same thing the next day. But guys, that wraps it up for this video. If any of you are using any of these three devices, let me know down below in the comments section how the battery performance has been for you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.